Welcome to the Money Collective podcast. We're here to uplift your financial well-being. Your hosts are me, Mel Pierce, and Darlene Yu. We are the co-founders of the Money Collective, and together we have over 50 years of finance and banking experience. We provide the tools, information, and guidance to better understand your money and feel confident making money decisions.
Hi everyone, we're lucky to have with us today Mark Brown. Mark Brown owns O'Brien's Real Estate in Ringwood, and he also, which fascinates me, he coaches a ladies soccer team in Mooroolbark. I've known Mark for a really long time through the work that we do and the work he does. Our paths crossed, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, and I think Mark is a very holistic person. He cares a lot about people, and just the thinking that you have wanting to give back and support other people, and acknowledge that everyone's different. So thanks, Mark, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. And what we're going to talk about is, insights of a real estate agent. Everybody, needs a roof over their head to survive, and whether it's renting or whether it's having a home of their own, their paths need to cross with a real estate agent at some point. So it'd be really good to get inside your brain a bit today, Mark, and give the audience some tips on how to work with an agent. So first of all, I'd love to hear your journey, and if you want to tell us a bit about you, that'd be great.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Look, I've been in real estate now probably coming up to 25 years, and I enjoy it and love it more now than actually when I started, because as you go through this journey, you understand that it's a lot deeper than just selling and listing houses. It's a lot more than that. And what I understand and what I embrace and very humbled about is that somebody who you meet is going to give you the opportunity to sell their biggest financial asset, their family home, full of memories, full of a journey in their life. And they're asking you to represent them so they can move on to the next phase of their real estate journey. And whether that's an upsize or a downsize or retirement, or, there's other aspects that come into that as well, as unfortunately families fall apart and properties need to be sold. But it is very humbling that somebody meets you and allows you to represent their home, and they're relying on you to help them move on to the next phase of the journey. So real estate agents can be seen as, we're just after the list and sell and make the money and move on. Many of them are like that in the industry. It's not how we see it. Never have. As I say, it's very humbling that somebody gives you the opportunity to sell their home and help them move on. So that's why I enjoy it more now, because I've got a deeper understanding of what it means to people when they employ you to sell their home. So that's been part of my journey. Prior to that, I was in banking for 7 or 8 years. So and believe it or not, the funny, people laugh at this, but the history of my family and the background of my family back from the UK and even over here was we're butchers by trade and by heritage. We run butcher shops, and I was trying to get out of the family trade by getting into banking and moving on, but there was something about it, and we just got seconded back into the family business, and I ran our shop for 12 or 13 years. My dad's a butcher. My granddad back in the UK were butchers. So it's running in the veins. And I must admit, even today, I still have a passion about that trade. But having run a small business, having had some background in banking, I think it all ties up to being how to work with people and how to understand people's needs. The lady, we used to walk in the butcher shop and go, Mark, I'm going to do a roast for Sunday lunch. What would you recommend? Well, you don't sell them a bit of chuck steak to roast. You got to say, well, you got the roast and you got this. So having done that and having been in a small business, you're very reliant on repeat clients. So you've got to really, really focus on understanding what the needs are, so they come back next week and go, Mark, that was great. The advice you gave me and what you sold me was great. And the same thing, those same principles have carried on through to where I am today, running my own real estate office. Outside of business, my biggest passion has been my sport, and my sport's been football, real football, soccer in abbreviated commas. I played professionally over here for all my life, and I got into coaching, but over the last few years, I've got into coaching women's football, women's soccer. It is fun, it's exciting. Women's sport, not just football, but you've got cricket and the AFL or WAFL. Women's sport is getting bigger and bigger and bigger in this country. And it's great to be able to impart my skills and my knowledge of coaching onto the ladies, because they're like sponges when you coach them. They just want to know. They want to know the ins and outs. And I must admit, love doing it. One of the frustrations is, though, you ask them to go and do something and then they ask you why, and it's very easy to sit back and go, because I've told you to, but that just doesn't work. You've got to really hone into understanding and getting them to understand the why of it. But it's great to acknowledge that, because they just want to learn. They want to know. And, the girls last year had a fabulous year. The other thing I enjoy about coaching women is, age barriers don't exist. I've got a young girl in my side this year who is 15 years old, and she is a superstar. And at the other end of the scale, I've got a lady who is probably the fittest girl in the team, and she's 41.
It's just amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it is. And I look, I could talk all day about it. It's an absolute passion of mine. Outside of loving what I do for a career, football's a passion of mine. I've played it. I've coached it. It's great fun and very, very rewarding I guess it's like in business too, when you coach somebody in business and you can see they're getting some success out of what you've helped work with them, you get a buzz out of it. You get a real buzz out of it. It's got nothing to do with financial rewards. It's just great to see it. We're big on giving back. Once a month on a Thursday, I go to the local church in Ringwood, and I cook up a big batch of soup. I go to Costco and buy a couple of plates of sandwiches and a big mud cake, and we serve the homeless. And there's absolutely it's great to see their appreciation. It's great to see the face light up when they come in and go, oh, can I have those sandwiches, or this soup's nice, whatever it might be. It's just great to be giving back in some way, shape or form. It's not about money. Real estate for me, it's not about money. Yes, you want to be successful, and yes, you having some money to be able to do the things you want is great, but it's about fulfilling yourself and walking away at the end of the day going, I've put a good day in today, and I've helped them, I've done this, and down the track you get financially rewarded for doing all that. So that's a bit about me, but I don't want to talk forever, Darlene.
Yeah. Well, we can get into some nuts and bolts, but before we do, what I heard there, it's very aligned, talking about, the ladies wanting to ask why, and that's what we're encouraging and empowering with the financial wellbeing work that we do, because what we want is people to be critical thinkers and make decisions for themselves. I think historically, some of the generations, what's happened is we just outsource it to someone and we trust what they say without actually questioning that. So I love that the girls are asking why. That is fantastic.
I think one of the things I promote, and whether I'm coaching one of my team or whether I'm coaching the girls, is to have the confidence to speak up and be confident that what you're thinking is important to you. Therefore, if it's important to you, then be prepared to stand up and go, look, I need to know this. And don't feel awkward. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel like you're asking a question that the person thinks, oh, that's a silly question, because the only silly question is the one that you don't ask. And it's super important. Having the ability to let the girls express themselves, and again, whether it's work or on the football field, I think is great for development. And there's so many things you can. Sorry.
No, keep going.
I can say there's so many things that you can learn about life when you're a coachable person. And I say coachable. Some people aren't coachable. They just don't, they just know everything. But if you're a coachable person, you can take the lessons out of learning to develop as a footballer, and you can take that into life, because I think there's a strong alignment between playing sport and your journey in life.
So it would be amiss of me, Mark. We talk a lot on our podcast about money stories, and money stories shape us throughout our lives, and they're normally things that we've learned very young in our childhood that, on the surface level, it might be, the family sayings, like money doesn't grow on trees, or
Yeah.
or it could have been the opposite, spend it now, you can't take it with you, all those things that shape our beliefs around money. And it's really, truly not really that much about money. It's about life lessons, I bet. And what happens, because we learn that really on, they become our beliefs, and they're not really real, and some might serve us well and some might not serve us well. But I'd be interested if you could share your money story. And we heard a bit about, obviously, butchers being really important to you, but what was a bit about your growing up and your money story that served you well and maybe not served you so well, and things you've changed along the way?
Geez, I can remember getting my first pay packet when I worked for the bank. And that was a long, long time ago. And my first pay packet from the bank was $198, and that was for a fortnight. So, I thought I was rich. I guess I was always brought up to be very conscious of your funds, be conscious of money. Always put something away for a rainy day, was what my dad used to tell me. Just put a bit for a rainy day, just for that rainy day. Put a bit away. You just never know what's going to happen. We were fortunate enough. I bought my first home when I was 20. So, and back then, I mean, the house cost $32,000, but you still had to save 10%, and saving $3,500 was a lot of money. But, we had a focus, and the focus was, that's what we wanted with my wife and that was our focus. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned in life and about funds is have something to aim for. Irrespective of what it is, if it is saving for your first house, if it's saving for your investment property, if it's saving for a car, or have a goal in mind that you want to achieve, and you will get there because you have a goal. So work out what your goal is, work out to when you want it, and then it's really simply being disciplined to follow the path to get there. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like if you want to have a holiday, I can remember I was saving to go on a cruise with Chris, and I had to come up with a certain amount of money in 6 months. So I wrote a calendar. I had a calendar on my wall at work. I had what the deposit was when I needed it, and I worked out over that 6 months I needed to put away, hypothetically, let's say $500 a month, and it was there. So I think the lesson I've learned is work out what you want, and then work out the path on how to get there. Because if you don't know what you want, then you'll just waste your money, because there's nothing there for you to aim towards.
Oh my gosh, Mark, have you read our course?
No, I haven't.
That is exactly right. And do you know what? The studies show, you'll be very pleased to know you're relying. The studies actually show the same. If people don't have goals, two things happen. One is we compare socially to others, and the other one is that we're materialistic, because we just, fluff it away because we not have something that's important enough and compelling enough to do something with our money. So that is a key to financial well-being. So
that's financial. That works in the financial side of things, but that also works in life in general. I've always believed I've got to get up in the morning. I've got to have a reason why I go and do something. And the reason isn't necessarily all about money. It's about I want to lose weight. Yeah. I want to lose 10 kilos, and that's where I am at the moment. So I want to lose 10 kilos by the 1st of December. Now, I started over a month ago, and I've lost 5 kilos so far. And I have put little reminders on my laptop here and everywhere that my goal is a certain weight. So if I've got the goal and I can look at it, I'll get there.
Yeah.
And I say the same to my team. You know, my team is. I ask them in the next 12 months, what do you hope to achieve in the next 12 months? And they say, I want to make XYZ dollars. And I'm not interested in what you want to earn. I'm interested in what you personally want to achieve. Is it a holiday? Is it your deposit? I don't know. Is it a Prada purse? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Have the goal and you will get there. And as a coach or a mentor or as a trainer, my job isn't to hit them over the nails and say, you know, you're not doing enough. It's a case of I have a monthly meeting with someone, go, how close are you to getting that Prada purse? Oh, I'm on target. I go, fantastic. And she goes, oh, no, I'm a little bit behind. What can I do to help you get there?
Yeah.
And it's about making accountability comes into it as well. You know, and then my role I see is accountability to help you achieve what you want. You told me what you want. It doesn't affect me if you get there or not, but I really want to help you get there, and I'm prepared to do this to work with you. That's sort of my philosophy on coaching, mentoring, but also, you know, have a goal in life. Have a goal, and your goals, once you reach one, set another one. And you don't have to have one goal. You can have as many goals as you want to set for the next period of time in your life. And, you know, if you've got them set and you've got a plan, stick to the plan and you'll get there.
That's it. And it feels so good when you get there too, right? And
it's a sense of achievement. Oh, it's great. No, it's a massive sense of achievement. When you reach it, it's, oh, this is awesome. And it just spurs you on. It just gives you more and more confidence that you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it and you have a path to follow.
Yeah, no, so true. And so aligned, like you said, you know, we talk about financial wellbeing, but it is really life stuff. So,
yeah.
All right, well, yeah, maybe we can get into a bit of nuts and bolts about real estate.
Okay.
And maybe just a really quickly high level, what is the role of a real estate agent?
Okay, so I see the role of a real estate agent is bringing two parties together. Yes, you have someone who's got a need to sell, and you've got to have a person on the other side who's got a need to buy. And our role is to bring those people together. Our role is to find someone who wants to purchase the property off the vendor and to negotiate a price that allows them to move on with their next phase in their life. So our role realistically has been that negotiator. The genuine role of a real estate agent is a negotiator. I mean, all real estate agents are going to put your property on realestate.com. They're all going to print off pretty brochures. They're all going to, put a board up. That's standard 101 real estate. But when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, our role is to negotiate the coming together of two people. So your vendor walks away happy that they've got a great result and they can move on, and the purchaser's happy that we have helped them secure the home that they really like and they want to live in for the next 10, 15 years, whatever the case may be. So it's having good, strong negotiation skills is the real role of a real estate agent.
Yeah.
That's where I see it.
Yeah, so it comes to the thinking of, people are trying to choose a real estate agent, and I've been in this myself. Like before I knew you, what sort of things would you look for? Like if you're, interviewing or I guess real estate agents, what are the things that you would, how would you assess who to choose? Yeah.
I think it comes down to trust. Trust in the person that you're talking to, a comfort that you have with them. Do they fit your criteria of you can work with them? And it's coming down to, again, are you confident in them? Have they demonstrated to you that they have the ability to negotiate? Because quite frankly, outside of all of that, it's fluff. It is, oh, look, I've got pretty brochures and I've got this. And, I've heard it a million times, agents go, oh, look, I've sold this, I've sold that, I've sold the other. At the end of the day, it's not relevant to you what you sold. I want to know what you're going to do for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, so, from that perspective too, is it different in different markets? Like, obviously the market over the last year or so has tightened up a bit to what it was before that. Do you think it's different, or it always comes down to those fundamentals and that's what
Look, I don't, irrespective of what the market is doing, I think the fundamentals remain the same. You've got to be able to be a good communicator. There's, again, in a tough market, you really need a strong negotiator, because you might not have as many people coming through. The market's changed a bit. Prices have come back. So you really do need, when a market's tough, that's when the real skills start to come out. When the market's rocking along, well, you've got 5 people want to buy it. Well, it's easy, but it's when the market's a little bit tougher, as it is now, that's where your negotiation skills, and that's where your real trust and belief in the person you've got representing you is far more important.
Yeah.
And you've got to be a good communicator, because honestly, there are times when you've got to have conversations with an owner and go, things have changed. Things have changed. You're not going to get your 1.5. It might be 1.45. Can you move on? If you can't, take it off the market and try again in 12 months. And that's where a fair bit of honesty and integrity comes into play as well. I mean, if the vendors can't move on because they have to get a certain price and the market is not recognizing that price, be honest and go, mate, let's try again in 12 months. Can you afford to stay for 12 months and move on? If not, then we may have to reassess what you're wanting to move to.
Yeah.
So these are important discussions, and I think, trust, integrity, good negotiation skills are super important when it comes to having those conversations.
I think it's not really good advice. I think it's particularly for the seller, building a relationship, like someone you can connect to, relationship, so then you can have and build that trust. Yeah, and someone, that I think of times that you've served some of my clients, that's where it shone through, was the experience and the knowledge and the, relationship. And if you're comfortable, if you get a real estate agent that's comfortable in their own skin, they're going to be, a better communicator, right?
Yep.
So they're going to, you say it how it is, in an empathetic way. So, good advice. So forget all the other pieces, just look for someone that relax to.
Yeah, that's right. Somewhat. Yeah, and look, people are not silly. People can see through people. If someone's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, most of us can see through that. So look for someone who's genuine. Simple as that. Someone who's genuine. They don't have to talk to you all about all the fluff and wonderful. You just think, you're genuine. You're straight down the line. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's what I'm after. And I think that's what you look for when you're selecting an agent.
Yeah, again, I think really good life advice, surround your people that are like that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, what about if you're a purchaser? Purchasers don't really get to choose the agent. Depends on what house they like.
And look, this is the whole thing. Advice I've got for purchasers, okay? You walk up to the front door of a house, the real estate agent's there, he's going to ask for your name and all that sort of stuff. Build a rapport with your agent. Be nice. Don't stand oh, you're a real estate agent. Oh, geez, another real estate agent. Gosh, we're here to help. Understand this. The real estate agent is here to help. If you like the house, tell the agent. I've heard so many stories, don't tell the agent you like the house. Don't tell the agent you like the house. Again, work with the agent. We're here to help. If you want to buy, if you like the house, we are here to help you buy it. So be open with us. Don't play cold-chested and go, I've got to go away and think about it, or I've got to do this, and you walk away and go, I really like the house. Tell the agent, yes, I like the house. And then we will help you buy it. But, people want to play this ducks and drakes game with real estate agents. They walk in stone-faced, I can't speak to the agent. Don't tell the agent to like it. Why not? We're not going to force you to buy a house you don't want to buy. We are here to help two parties come together for a successful outcome for everybody. So be open with the agent. Walk out the door, go, look, I like the house. What do I need to do to buy it? Don't go, oh, I don't know, oh, it's too expensive. Work with the agent. Tell the agent what you can spend. If it's in the range, then he'll help you negotiate buy the house. And it's a, you know, we're cast in the same mold as car salespeople. You know, you walk into a car yard and all of a sudden a car salesman walks in. What do? You look the other way and pretend you don't want to talk to him. You're there to buy a car. He's there to help you buy a car. We are there to help you secure a house. If you don't like the house, that's cool. Tell us. Yeah, it's not for us, mate. Yeah, what is for you so we can help you find something. You know, communication is really, really important. But so many times, you know, we're brought up with, again, working with agent. Don't tell the agent to like the house. You know, why not? Tell us, yes, I like the house. Great, let me help you buy it. What do we need to do to buy it? This. Great, let's work together.
Yeah.
That is the biggest bit of information I can say to a purchaser. Get on realestate.com, go and look at the house, engage in a conversation with the agent. When you've come out of the house, tell them it meets our needs. How do we go about buying it? And the agent will help you.
Yeah. It's such an important one, isn't it? Because it's really all about relationships again.
It is.
You know, I over the years, you know, of all the people that, you know, I've helped with loans, you know, people getting into houses, you know, sometimes, you know, first home buyers will ask me, you know, oh, how do we negotiate with an agent? And I said, I know this agent, and he always is given the same advice. Just be open and honest, be yourself, you know, and build a connection and say what you can and can't do. Don't play games.
Yep.
You know, what are you prepared to do and what you aren't prepared to do, but don't change your mind. Just go in with honesty. And you know, don't try and, because people feel like they've got to leave buffers in case the negotiation goes backwards and forwards.
Yep.
So, and I said, just stick to your guns. There's more houses out there. Just be open and honest, and you know, if the house is meant to be, it'll be meant to be, and if not, there'll be others.
And look, you know, one thing is, you know, as the agent, buyers must remember, you're not negotiating with the agent. You're negotiating with the vendor through the agent. Do you understand? So, you know, you're not saying, oh, Mark, I'll pay this, that, and the other. It's not me who's selling the house. So you need to be as open as you can with me, so I can then sit with the owner and discuss your proposal with the owner. Because we're the conduit that brings everything together. So to be open and frank with us and go, look, we've got $1 million to spend. And the question I will always ask is, okay, $1 million to spend, is that what you feel comfortable spending, or is that what the bank has told you can spend? Because there's two different things here. So they turn around and go, Mark, the banker said to us, I can buy a house at $1 million, but I can't buy a house for $1,001,000. And I'll go, fantastic, fantastic. And then they're honest, and we go, okay, well, the vendor wants $1,050,000. Well, I can't get that. So cool. I'll let the owner know that you can't get that far. If there's no compromise, then I'll try and find you something else. Yeah. But it's been honest and transparent. I've had so many times in my career where I've had the conversation with someone and gone, look, there is another proposal on the table. Someone else likes the home as much as you do. They've put a proposal forward. You may not get a second opportunity to negotiate with the owner. When there's multiple buyer situation, often you don't get the negotiation opportunity because someone else is going to put a slam dunk offer in because they want it. So I may not be coming back to you for a second dip. So please understand, I need you to provide me with what your walk-away price is. And if someone pays $1,000 more than what your best offer is, you're cool with that. And so many times I've rung back and gone, guys, we've missed out by 10 grand. I'm sorry. They go, I would have paid it. I've gone, well, we had this conversation, guys. Oh, yeah, but I've gone, my God, you know. So again, you know, be transparent with the guy that's trying to help you. You know, don't play the, you know, don't go down the path. Oh, no, the agent will come back to us. Hold 10, 20 grand back. See if you can buy. No.
It doesn't work like that. It isn't funny. It's such a myth. And, you know, the thing is, I also say to people, like, if at the end of the day, if you've paid, I don't know, say that extra $10,000 for that house, you're not going to think about that in 5 years' time, 10 years' time.
No.
you forget about it after it's done and dusted. As long as you're in your what you can afford.
Do you know, the minute it's funny, you say, I totally agree. And I explain to people that real estate's not about the here and now. Real estate is about the journey in 5 or 10 years. So if you pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, you feel you've paid $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over and above, then it's not something you need to worry about, because the minute you settle, you've forgotten all about it. You're moving into that beautiful home that you've wanted. And as you say, 5 or 10 years time, when let's say you've paid $1 million for it and you think you've paid 50 too much. And then in 5 years time, or 10 years time, you sell it for $1.6 million. You're not going to remember the $50,000 too much you felt then you paid for, because real estate is the long game. You don't make money out of real estate in over a 12-month period by buying and selling, but it is great growth over the journey.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Coming, I guess, off the back of that, with the market is at the moment, it's been a bit slower because a lot of people can't, it's really hard to decide to buy before I sell or sell before I buy, and then the risks in that, obviously. So what would you advise somebody that just isn't in a position, and about conditions and things like that, and how to do that?
Okay, so look, buy before you sell or sell before you buy. That comes down to your personal financial position. There's risks involved. There's risks involved on both sides. If you buy before you sell, the upside to that is, well, you found a house you like, and you bought a house that you really, 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 really like. Great. The downside is you put yourself in a pressure cooker position where you need to have I'll rephrase that. Unless you've got a lot of money and you can afford to pay for the next house cash without having to sell yours, perfect position. However, most people I come across aren't in that position, and they do need the proceeds of their current home to secure the next one. So you do put yourself in a pressure cooker position if you've got to sell yours and sell yours in a space of time, allow settlement, and try and tie up the settlements. If you are going to do that, then my advice is you always buy on a long settlement. Always buy on 120-day settlement. That does give you the chance to get yours on the market, allow a good marketing time, and still allow settlement. So if it took you 60 days to sell yours, you can still you got a 60-day settlement to work with, which is quite good for potential purchases anyway. So that is the only way I would do it. But there is more risk. The other way of doing it, of course, is you sell before you buy. Well, great. You know how much money you've got to go and spend, which is awesome. The downside to that is, though, you may not find the house you really like. So, and then you go, well, what do I do? So, you either buy something you have to compromise on, or you rent for a period of time until the right property comes up. So there are pros and cons in either way. The most conservative way that I've come across is that you sell before you buy. Okay. And you sell your home, and you sell your home on a 120-day settlement, which allows you ample time to look in the market. And if you find a property that you like, then you can always bring the settlement, you can always ask the purchaser if they'd like to move in earlier than what the agreed settlement was, so that you can tie up the settlements. Personally, I would sell before I buy.
There you go. Okay.
I would sell before I buy.
I was going to say, what if you really found the place, and I suppose you could put it on the table, is if you said subject to the sale of your home? Yeah, look, that is a condition, subject to the sale of your home, and subject to the sale of your home is a condition that is quite commonly used in rural areas. In metropolitan, not so much. And the reason behind that is most people say, look, subject to the sale of my place, give me 30 days to sell my place. Now, that effectively then takes your home off the market for a month, and you are relying on them selling their house. So that's a big, big risk. As an agent, it is not a condition that I would
recommend that a vendor would accept, because again, you're relying on another agent selling their home in a month. But also, if you're more likely to find another buyer in that month without those conditions. Many years ago, it was something that was acceptable. Yeah, I'd take 30 days to sell a house. People didn't mind, but with the way things are now, and look, if people want the house sold, they want the certainty that it's sold. I mean, subject to sale for 30 days. I mean, you're always asking that, have they sold their place? Have they sold place? Then after 25 days, it hasn't sold. You also, as the seller, you do lose your momentum of your sale, because what a good agent should do is, even though you have a potential sale, a conditional sale, you always leave the house on the internet, trying to gain some sort of some more inquiries in case something goes wrong. But if after 30 days it hasn't sold, you've then got to, what do? You're still doing opens. You've lost the momentum. For a purchaser to have their home on the market, the most effective time of a campaign is the first 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah. If you've accepted a subject to the sale, then you've lost that momentum. So it's not an ideal condition to have. Other conditions which are workable, subject to finance, no problems whatsoever. I think it's also very pertinent for a buyer to make a sale subject to a building and pest inspection.
Yep.
And that is something, even as an agent, my conscience always says to me, buy the house, why don't you make it subject to a building and pest inspection? We often have building and pest inspections done on the property prior to it going on the market. And so for a vendor, it's great because they get a report done. If there's a couple of little issues, they get a chance to sort them out and fix them before it goes on the market. And it just reduces the risk for a purchaser. So again, if you have a building and pest inspection done on your home and you offer it, and what we normally do is purchase it and then offer that report at a discounted price to the potential purchaser. You've been pretty transparent about it. You've been very open about your home, and you're going, hey, here's a building inspection, go for gold, So it also gives a buyer a lot more confidence that they're buying something that, is the purchase is very confident in. So, but I say to people, I treat purchases like I treat my own family. I'm not going to tell you what to buy or how to buy it, but I'm going to say to you, I suggest you get a building and pest inspection, just so you know you're buying something that's got good bones and solid, usually not a new home. So I said there's going to be maintenance issues. Building report gives you a bit of a program on what you can expect to do over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I actually think the vendors getting that pest and building inspection up front, and I've certainly seen that, working with purchasers on the other side when they go there. So I so often say, well, just ask whether there's one being done. But it actually lifts the impression of the house, even no matter what's on it, because it goes towards that trust and transparency, isn't it? So they're more likely to, engage in that
100%.
So yeah, that's
definitely.
All right. Well, there's some great tips and hints for people. So thank you very much. And I don't know, have you got any funny or great stories that have happened in real estate that you'd like to share for entertainment?
Oh, great story! Well, now you've really put me on the spot. Great. I said, look, this may sound a bit corny, but every time you present somebody with a proposal, and you've reached or exceeded their expectations, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Every time you do that, it's a great story. Big stories. Oh, look, off the top of my head, I'd have to say I can't think of something straight away. But just I get enjoyment out of seeing people when you've helped them make that transition. That's a story I get, and the buyers go, I've bought the house, they fall in love with the house, it is awesome. I guess I'd say one story that comes to mind, and it's a house we sold not that long ago in Coldstream. Okay. First home buyers, they'd been looking for a home for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And when we put the proposal forward, and when I told them they'd secured the home, my God, I don't think I've ever seen, and seriously, happiness, joy, excitement, relief in faces, and I saw on that young couple. They bought me a nice gift because I don't expect that, but they bought me a lovely gift because I was so helpful, and I helped them get their dream home, because everybody's home's their dream home.
Yeah.
And they were, I think I said to the owner, I have never seen a young couple so excited, so happy that they've got this house. And, that sends shivers up your spine. It puts a big smile on my face, and, making people happy is a great thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
So that's probably, and that was a recent one. So that was, that does stick in my mind there. Just beautiful couple. So ecstatic. Yeah. They just jumping out. They just could not wait. Settlement couldn't come quick enough for them. It was brilliant. Really, really, really brilliant. But
so what I take out of all of that, and if I can, sum up and bring it all together, coming back to choosing an agent, because, just that passion you showed just then, it is actually what, gets you up and working with people and, like helping their dreams come true. I think one of the key things I've heard today is look for an agent, whether you're selling or even purchases, and how you can connect with agents, that's someone that cares, has some empathy, honesty, trust, that you can relate to. Otherwise, that is the key message, I think, out of today. So, so thank you. Thank you so much for today and all your wisdom. That was really helpful. I hope for the audience you've got something out of that, where if you're thinking about, heading down that path of buying or selling. All right. Well, thank you so much for today and
my
all
pleasure.
of your insights. And I look forward to it going to air. At The Money Collective, we provide financial wellbeing, premium coaching, mortgage broking and workplace financial wellbeing programs, which we couldn't do without the seamless support of our fabulous team.
If you'd like to find out more, head to themoneycollective.com.au or our socials to take action and engage our services. In our Facebook group, join the conversation and help us break down the taboo around money.
All content in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is general in nature. For tailored personal advice, please seek out a professional.